Hey, haven't done this in a while. I don't know if I if I screwed it up or not. Hello, hello. Hey, Desiree. Thank you for coming. So we'll wait a few minutes, let some people show up, hopefully, and if not, we'll still do it ourselves. What the heck do we care? I have a presentation to show you. Hi, Tommy. Can you guys hear me okay? I know sometimes my microphone is wacky. I'm just wondering if you guys can hear me okay. So we are going to talk about international shipping and about the different platforms and a little bit about whether it's worth doing or not. You know, the rules keep changing, things keep happening. So sometimes we kind of have to make decisions about what is best for us and our business. And so I have a little presentation. We're going to go over it. And we will see what you guys think. I'm interested right now in the comments. Do you do international shipping? And do you do it across the board, or you do only do it for some platforms? I'm just wondering. Yes, Kim says yes. I think that's Kim. And do you do it for all platforms? Just on eBay? Desiree, do you use the eBay international program? Tommy, yes. So I limit yourself. I totally get that one, my friend. Okay, here. Let's see if I can do this. I'm signed up with eBay for international shipping. Yes. So that's one program we'll go over right now. It's a great program. It can limit you in the sense if there's limitation of cost, I think is the one thing that it can limit, right? So if somebody goes and they see that you do it, but you are using the program, it can be much more costly than if you sent it themselves. But at the same time, you know, you may not be able to send it yourself. They might be able to do it, and they have all the forms and they know what they're doing, and they take the risk if it gets stuck in customs or if there's a return. eBay does all of those things. So in my opinion, there is really no reason not to use the eBay international program. Hey, Swamp Picker, how are you? We're glad you're here. All right, so if you guys can give me 1 second, I'm going to figure out how to share this screen since other people used to do it for me, and now I'm not 100% sure, but give me 1 second. Holla! That's how I hear it, Desiree, in my head. Oh, I did it, I think. I did it. I want to make this big, though. Huh, can you guys see that? I know, who would have thought? Hola. Oh gosh, you had it first. Desiree, I thought you were talking to me that I had it first, right the first time, and who would have thought? And I was agreeing with you. Who would have thought? Okay, so we are going to talk about eBay international shipping in 2025. So I would just like to say, when I started, eBay really pushed us to do our own shipping internationally. They did have some, you know, some programs, but nothing as robust as this program. This program is really a great program. And as for any other platforms, at the time, I didn't sell on many other platforms. And when I started selling on Posh, there wasn't any international shipping. So I never really did it on anywhere else other than eBay. So let's talk about why we should offer international shipping. So let's talk about this. All right. So reach millions of new buyers globally, right? What we can do nationally is much bigger globally. Reduce stale inventory by expanding your market. So maybe you have some things that aren't that easy to sell here that maybe would be really good in another market. Higher ASP, average selling price. So in general, it seems like the overseas market, because it's a premium of whatever we have here and they want, we can get a higher price to an overseas buyer than we can to a local buyer. Now, of course, that's not on everything. That's not on every product, but that is, when you look at eBay stats, that does seem to hold true. Competitive edge over sellers who only ship domestically. I mean, if somebody's in Ireland and they want this bottle of whatever this is, and I have it and Tommy has it, but I'm the only one who's selling it internationally, then I'm going to be the only one who gets the sale. So even if Tommy's product is less expensive than mine, or maybe he has better statistics than I do, maybe he has better feedback than I do, it's not going to matter if he's not selling it overseas. So I think why you should offer international shipping is really just to open up your market. That's what it comes down to. You want more people to sell to. Some key considerations before you ship globally. You're going to need, unless you're specifically just using the eBay program, okay? So these caveats are kind of across the board unless you're in that program. Custom declarations and duties. You're going to have to figure out a little bit about that, how to fill them out. There's going to be a little research. There's going to be a learning curve. Shipping time and tracking limitations. So there are some places that don't track the whole way. You kind of lose it halfway through if it's going somewhere obscure, or, if it's going somewhere in Africa, let's say, or in Russia. You can lose the ability to track it. Loss, damage, package liability. Someone is in charge of this stuff, right? So if you are shipping something out and they don't get it, just like in the United States, they're going to call you up, and you're going to have to figure out how to handle that. Return policies for international orders. Are you going to accept returns from international orders? Are they going to have to pay the return shipping? Is it worth even going down that road? Would it be worth saying, I'm not taking returns on this, but then do you look like an untrustworthy seller, if you do that to your buyers? I've been selling now full time for since 2017, and I've only had 3 things lost ever. 1 in the United States, and 1 in Russia, and 1 in Africa. I've sold hundreds of things overseas, and I've only had really 2 bad experiences. And so I've tried to not let that cloud my judgment about going forward. Catherine said, if it is going to a PO box or a service member address, forget what it's entitled DPO, maybe don't track. So that's a good thing you brought up, Catherine. I just would like to say this. So overseas servicemen, and then a few islands, right? The Marshall Islands, they're a territory of ours. Puerto Rico is a territory. And there's someplace else that's a territory that Guam is a territory. Even though those are like international, they're still within the U.S. Postal Service. So those may take longer, but it's just regular mail. And the same with, meaning priority or flat rate, you can use things like that. You don't have to use the international. Same with the military boxes. So you can get a box which says APO on it, and you can send them to a base. So no matter where the base is, in Germany, wherever, You can get it to a base, and it's just like they treat the mail just like they do in the United States. Catherine said, I've never had an issue with territories. Neither have I. I have sent to Guam. I have sent to Marshall Islands. I have shipped to Puerto Rico many, many times. I've never had any problems with the territories. They are just like a state. They are treated just like a United States state is. So there's really so don't get nervous about some of these places. If something comes in from Guam or American Samoa, if you get something from one of these places, just ship it. So more key considerations, the return policies, whether you're going to take returns, and then packing requirements for long distance transport. It is different, right? If I'm sending a package from, Boston, where I live, to New York City, right? It's not that far. It's going to be in a few trains, a truck, who the hell knows, and then it's there. It's different if it's going to Germany, right? Like it's either going in an airplane, it's going on a boat. It's got some ways to go. It's going to have a lot more jostle, a lot more moving around. And so you do want to pay attention to the packaging, I think, a little bit more when it's an overseas package than when it's a domestic package. Tammy says, I use eBay's international shipping, but I do my own Etsy. I have blocked Germany, France, and some others because of the regulations. Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a minute. I think that that's a perfectly legitimate thing to do. If you are doing your own shipping and some places are too difficult and it's not worth it, make a judgment call and say, you know what, I'm going to take the loss of these French citizens, and I'm not going to send there because I can't do all the info they want. It's too difficult. It's too time consuming. I'd rather list 5 more items than have to deal with this for, a few hours. So you can absolutely make those decisions based on the country's own qualifications. So let's talk about the platforms. So the platform, does it support international shipping, and does it have a built-in program? So eBay, yes, it does absolutely support excuse me, I have to have the hiccups all day today. Supports international shipping. Does it have a built-in program? Yes, it does. eBay International Shipping. But you can also ship on your own through eBay. So that does it both ways. Poshmark is only limited to the US at the moment, and they do not have a built-in program. Their program is within the United States, but that does include Guam, Puerto Rico, the American Samoas, US American Virgin Islands, all those places that are territories. That still counts for Poshmark. Mercari, they do not support international shipping, and they do not have a program. Grailed, they do support international shipping, but it's a manual setup. So they don't have anything inside there. You're going to have to do it all yourself. And somebody today on our mastermind call said that they do not a lot, but enough to make it worth it on Grailed to do the international shipping, and that they can get higher price points for it on Grailed for the international shipping. So if you're somebody who's selling fun, funky, or vintage, or something interesting, you may want to look into Grailed and look into that international buyer through Grailed, because maybe that would be a good point for you guys. Depop does support it, and it has a global shipping profile within the Depop itself. Etsy, again, it does, and Etsy also has a global shipping profile within it. Vestair has managed shipping program, and Shopify, it does, but the seller is in charge. I mean, which makes sense because Shopify is basically your own store, your own storefront. So you get to make all the decisions on that. You get to decide what you would like to use and what you want to. So you could say, I'm only using, UPS or FedEx or DHL or whatever. You get to decide what you want to do on that. So let's talk about the big dog first. eBay International Program, the EIS, is eBay's newest global shipping solution. It used to be GPS, and now it's transformed into EIS. What I think is great about this is it's basically once it's sold and you get it to a hub, it's out of your hands. So eBay really does take care of everything once they get it. So you sell it to somebody in France, eBay is going to send you a listing, a label, and you are going to ship it to wherever that label says. And it's some kind of hub. So let's say it's going to St. Louis, Missouri, because I know there's a hub there. You send it to St. Louis, Missouri, and there is a warehouse there that then eBay inspects it, makes sure the package is okay, and then fills out all the pertinent material. So anything for bringing the stuff into the country, anything that needs to be known, anything to do with tariffs, or, they're the ones who take care of everything. You do not have to do anything once it's delivered there. It's out of your hands. And what's great about it is the buyer sees the full cost up front. It sees all the duties, all the shipping, and anything extra through the country itself. So it is not, I can remember when I first started, I once sent something and they called me and said, or wrote me and said, they want an extra $100 to pick it up, because it came from the United States and it wasn't declared. They'd asked me to declare it as a gift, and I didn't. I declared it. It was already too late when she asked me, and I probably wouldn't have anyways. But when she asked me to declare it as a gift, I had it already sent. So she had to pay taxes to get it out of, I want to say impound, but that's not the right word, for her to get it out of customs. And so they take care of all of that. You ship to the hub, like I said, eBay handles all the rest. There are no returns. Now, they can return it, but eBay takes care of the return, and then eBay sells off those returns. So you never will get once it's sold through the eBay International Shipping Program, you never will get it back again. And they seem to take care of all problems on that end. It kind of is just a facility where you send it to them and it's out of your hands and you don't have to worry about it. And I wrote in here that you get protection from negative feedback or losses after the US hub. Now, I'm going to check on that. I'm not 100. Does anyone know if that's 100% true about I know it is about the losses. If you get it there and it gets lost or whatever, you get your money and the person will get their money. eBay takes care of it. But does anybody know if that's completely true about the feedback? If somebody left you negative feedback for an international sale, do they take it off? Does anybody have any clue? Because if that's true, I mean, there's no downside for doing this. And in my opinion, everyone should be enrolled in this program. There's no downsides to sellers, and you can still ship on your own if you wish. Now, I do know a lot of people who use the international shipping program for Europe, Europe, Africa, any of the other countries, but they will send it on their own to Canada, because the Canadian mailing is cheaper, and they feel like they'll sell more if they can give the our fellow Canadian friends a break and just charge them basically what it is. And the great thing about that is that you can ship both ways. You don't have to be in or out. You can do both. So let's talk about you want to do it yourself. How do you do it? There are a few different services around that can help you. I find that Pirate Ship is the easiest to navigate. And what you're using is the simple export rate. So once you sign up with Pirate Ship, you then contact them and tell them that you want to be involved with the simple export rate, and they will get you that. And you'll be able to buy international postage through them. It's discounted just like their regular postage. And it's discounted international shipping for USPS first class international packages up to 4 pounds. It's available through Pirate Ship. Like I said, it is a third party, but they do interface with absolutely eBay, and I believe others also. And so you can, and when I mean interface, it will pull it in automatically. So if you have a package that you want to sell, do international shipping, you could bring it all in. You don't have to retype it, things like that. So that's great. It's zone-based pricing. So they just go by where you are to where it's going. So it's a pretty easy standard thing to figure out how much it's going to cost. It's great for Etsy, Shopify, Depop, and Grailed. And then I did write eBay ? Because I do think it can be good for the Canadian market if you decide you'd like to do that yourself. It does require custom forms. Sellers are responsible for their fulfillment. So what I'd like to say about that, unless you're using custom forms a lot, they're a little tricky when you first start. If you have any problem, I've had really, really good luck just going to my post office and saying, hey, can you make sure I filled this out right? What am I doing wrong? Did I miss something, et cetera, et cetera. There are YouTube videos. You can go online, but I have found that the lovely older ladies at my personal post office have been great and know how to do it, and I've found it very easy. So don't feel bad to reach out for help, because we're not doing these all the time, and a lot of these countries have very specific things for each. So you've got to be careful. And tracking is now available to many countries. There are some countries where there isn't. And if you do not feel comfortable with those, you can exclude those countries. So when you're setting up your shipping profiles, I did not say that correctly, you can say, I'm not going to ship to France, or I'm not going to ship to Germany, or, I'm not going to ship to the Middle East. You can decide where you won't ship to. Okay. So it's all in your hands. It just takes a little while to set up. I know, Kelly. I heard myself say it. Catherine, are you asking about a Rollo printer? Yep, that's exactly what I said. Thank you, Desiree. I love when my friends are here to be mean to me. It's so nice. Yeah, I use a Rollo printer every day. I have now for 4.5 years, and I have the same one I use every day. And they seem to have a shipping system now. Do not know that. I just use it to print my labels. But it's a really good printer, I will say. I know. I heard it. That's why I said I heard myself say it. Okay, so platforms with limited or no international shipping. Poshmark, it's a US based. That's all they are. They're not sending international. They are not set up for it. Then they don't seem to encourage it. I've never seen anybody sell anything international from there. Same with Mercari. There is a workaround, and the workaround would be, have a Shopify store or eBay. And if somebody writes to you and says, they're interested in this, you could say somehow, without getting yourself in trouble, that, you could probably do it on a different way or something, and have them buy it from a different platform. These platforms are not open to international sales at the moment. Etsy, Depop, Grailed, and Shopify, they are all open to this. They have some level of integration, and some of them have very little integration, but you can put it in, if you know what I mean. Etsy allows global profiles, seller sets, customs, and shipping fees. So again, you need to know a little bit about what you're looking at. I have seen some sellers, instead of saying, no international shipping, they will write, if you are interested in international shipping, please write to me and I'll get you a quote, instead of having to set it up for each and every single one. If you're a one-off seller, that may work for you, but then you may not pop up if somebody is says, do you international ship? So you've got to figure out your own flow and figure out what works for you. Depop international option built in, seller handles customs. So again, you're going to have to learn a little bit about the customs, and you're going to have to, work with that a little bit. Grailed supports international, requires seller to configure shipping. So Grailed, you kind of have to do some work before you can even say you have it. And this morning, again, I said this earlier, I think, but this morning in Mastermind, Angela said she sells quite a bit of higher end things on Grailed to international because they can get them, and they go for a higher ASP. So think about that too. Sometimes you can sell your better stuff, your higher quality stuff, because people aren't looking to just buy the $10 shirt. If they're going to have it, if they're going to pay $50 in shipping, they're getting something they really want. So those higher end buyers, those motivated buyers, they can be international buyers, and that may be worth going after depending on what you sell. Shopify. In Shopify, you have total control. You get to do whatever you want. You can choose any carrier you want, and you can switch, right? You can say, DHL. I get a lot of pocketbooks. Well, I used to get a lot of pocketbooks, DHL from Japan. DHL seems to do really well in the Asian market. So maybe you use DHL going to the Asian market. Maybe you use UPS going to, to the mainland of Europe. Maybe use something else. UPS for Ireland or England. And then maybe you just use USPS international. So you just have to decide what you feel comfortable with and what gives you the rates that you can work with. And to get the best rates, you would want to use Pirate Ship or ShipStation. I know some people use ShipStation. I'm only familiar with Pirate Ship and Simple Export Rate. And so that can be helpful. I didn't think about that when listing on Mercari, but someone from Hawaii was interested in a camera that I was selling, and I was set up the UPS Saver label, and it was showing it does not ship to them. So the UPS Saver label, I think, is continental US only. Is that right, Tammy? And it was UPS or USPS? So, yeah. So UPS Saver labels are labels they do from like hub to hub, and they don't go to Alaska, they don't go to Puerto Rico, they don't go to Hawaii, because it's not within they're not going to those places automatically anyways, unless they have a certain amount of packages. So it doesn't count for that deal. So yeah, that's something you need to be aware of also. Tips for international shipping. Okay. Use Pirate Ship for the lowest first-class international rates. They seem to have consistently the lowest first-class international rates. So if you're shipping it yourself, go to Pirate Ship first, in my opinion. Check them out. You can always do cost comparison. But when I was getting ready to do this, I did about 10 different things, and they came out the first every single time. Sometimes by just a few cents, but sometimes by a few bucks. So it could make a difference. Understand VAT import fees for EU and UK buyers. So make sure you understand that the buyer is going to have to pay more, and that how it works, so that you're giving the correct information so that they can get it out of customs. Rack packages and communicate delays perfectively. I do not know what the hell I was trying to say. Communicate delays proactively. I would do that. I don't know what the first part of my sentence was. Meaning, if you see on your end that it's going to be delayed, let them know. They do know it's coming from overseas. They do know it's going to take a while. So usually they're not in a huge hurry to get this stuff. And if they are in a huge hurry, they usually offer to upgrade the shipping. Use professional packaging. This is not the time when I would reuse packaging. I'm not saying a box, but some of us are very conscious about being green and wanting to reuse things. If it's going overseas, just make sure you're packing it really well. And it may be wrapped and unwrapped a couple of times. It may get unwrapped in customs, may get rewrapped in customs, and then it may happen again, depending on what is in it and what, a dog sniffs or doesn't sniff, or, if it's the 78th package this 100th time, things get pulled and can get opened and reclosed. So you want to make sure there's enough in there that if anything happens, that you can protect whatever it is. Always include a customs declaration form unless platform handles it. So that's to save you also. Okay. So that's to prove this is what I put in the box, what you're declaring in. Unless the platform does it for you, make sure you do that. It's absolutely a way to cover your own self. Carolyn wrote track packages. So tracking, oh yeah, you're right. That is what I was trying to say. Track packages and communicate for that. Thank you. I will fix that as soon as this is over. Yeah, track the packages. If you have something expensive going overseas, I got to be honest, I never ever look and see where my packages are unless somebody calls me and says, I don't have this package, or emails me and says, I didn't get my shirt. I don't really watch the shipping. It's going to get there when it's going to get there. 90% of the time, doesn't matter. I do pay a little bit more attention to the international sales because they're usually more expensive. They've paid a lot of shipping, and I do go in and look at those every once in a while. And if something isn't tracking as fast as I thought it would, or doesn't seem to be moving along as fast as I thought it would, I do let the buyer know, and I'll do a heads up on that. So thank you, Carolyn. That is what I was trying to say. So that's basically this for the presentation. Let's see if I can do this right. Oh, I did it. So I think the idea of this is to kind of show some stuff that we do in Mastermind. So in Mastermind, I didn't this week, but next week we start again. I have all of our topics are planned out for the till Christmas, basically. And we'll have a different topic every Monday through Thursdays. Fridays, we're going to try this thing called like Freeform Friday. And what I'm thinking is we will go back over anything we talked about during the week, but we'll also help anybody in the group who's having trouble. So if you're having a shipping problem, if you're having a problem with a customer, if you're having a problem with eBay, if you can't do this, if you need if you need help or whatever, those Fridays will be for. And the rest of the week, we'll have a different topic every week. And I am going to kind of go to this style, I think, for a little while. And we will have like a little mini class, some slides, and then we'll open up the discussion. So maybe a half an hour of that, and then a half an hour or more, because we don't stop Mastermind unless like Mondays I have to stop early, but you guys could keep going. The other days, if we're there longer, we're there longer. We try to do it until everybody feels comfortable and is done for the day. So this was kind of just to show what Mastermind was like. And anybody who belongs to List Perfectly, you can come to Mastermind. It's completely free. It's part of your subscription. And it would be at listingparty.com. You can see everything that's available. This afternoon on Listing Party, Vicki Zilverberg is giving a talk on vintage clothing. And she is going to talk about dating clothing using zippers and union tags. So, and she's going to have, I believe, a little thing like I just did that's going to show everybody, and she'll answer questions. And if you have something that maybe you're not 100% sure about the date, bring it. And she may be able to help you figure out what the date is. And something else is today too. Let me look. Something else is happening today. Is it a Star Bryson thing? Let me see. Listing party. Sorry, guys. So this afternoon, yeah, True Crime Enlist Molly Martins, which I don't know who that is. But Star does a True Crime Enlist every week. And then on Friday nights, we have a hostless sip and list kind of deal where everybody can just go and hang out. If you want to hang out and, oh, see, Gina, you beat me to it. I was too busy looking. I didn't see it. So right now I'm going to end this and we're going to go over to Listing Party. So if you'd like to, if you've never been, come on over and meet us. We'll be in Listing Party. There's two, this will be the after show and we'll see what everybody has to say and we'll take some notes and see what everybody disagrees with me or agrees with me. And I appreciate you guys coming and I hope you all have a good weekend. Hey, great sales this weekend. Thanks, guys. It would help if I knew how to do things. Now we're really doing it. Bye, guys.